In a world where trust is shattered and love is tested, one channel dares to uncover the untold stories of heartbreak and betrayal. Welcome to Heartbreak Chronicles, where real-life tales of infidelity are unraveled, secrets exposed, and lives forever changed. Join us as we navigate the complex world of relationships, offering support, understanding, and a place for those who have faced the pain of betrayal. Subscribe to Heartbreak Chronicles now, because every story deserves to be told, and every heartbreak deserves to be heard. Caught wife cheating. Now what about her kids? Really long sorry. Had to get it out. I, male 52, lost my first wife 10 years ago. At the time, 2 daughters who are now 21 and 24. Life went on after about 3 years and met my current wife. Met innocently enough, basically kept bumping into her at various places around town. Never really talked, sometimes made eye contact. We would point at each other at a distance and just smile. Then one day when I was getting my car worked on, she walked into the waiting room while her car was being worked on as well. So we finally had a long conversation. We went across the street to get real coffee as service centers were bad. We talked for about an hour, then I was paged that my car was done. I asked if she would like to have lunch one day to continue talking. We exchanged numbers and a day to meet up. We dated for 2 years, then got married. She has 2 boys now 10 and 14. They moved into my house after living with her parents for 3 years. My girls loved her, not as a stepmom but as a big sister. Having another adult in the house with 2 teenage girls was a blessing. Life is grand. I love those boys as if they were my own. I want to adopt them when they can make that decision on their own. The little one calls me dad, but the relationship with the older one is a little more awkward. I told him to call me whatever he felt comfortable with, usually my first name. The girls called her by her first name. Wife is a stay-at-home mom. We decided that she would stay home until the kids were adjusted. Now she doesn't want to work but does volunteer at school lunch and other things. Daughter 1 goes off to college, is now graduated. The younger daughter graduated this past month. We are moving the rest of her things this weekend. I was told her ex-husband abandoned them about the time baby number 2 came along and has been no contact since. Her mom is very nice but holds me at arm's length. Her dad is an alpha dog. I don't think he wanted anyone else taking care of his daughter, only child, and grandkids. He would berate me because I was too old, not much younger than them. This would be anytime I was around them. I am non-confrontational, so I told my wife I would just stay away from them. I did encourage her to continue the relationship, as they only live a couple blocks away. February of this year her ex reappears, wanting to get back into the kids' lives. He is sketchy at best, I cannot refuse this. He starts coming around often and I set a boundary that he can only come on weekends so as not to interfere with school and we can control his visitation somewhat. He comes most weekends, but really spends little time alone with the kids as we try to give him space. I asked my wife if he made any child support payments while he was gone. No. I suggested to her to talk to him about getting caught up on whatever he owes and to ask about signing over rights so I could adopt. She said she would talk to him. First part of March our sex life starts to dive. You know where this is going, right? But I am oblivious. I mentioned it to my wife, she had the usual excuses. I notice little things around the house are different. My favorite snacks are gone, missing a few beers. But the big one was I could smell what I thought was weed. I asked my wife if she was smoking, as we don't, she hasn't. I thought the now 14-year-old was, so I suggested that we talk with him. She says she would handle it. About 2 weeks ago, the 14-year-old asked me if I love his mom. I said yes, thinking he has a girlfriend. Time for a talk, right? He says that we always sat together and were touching each other some way or other. This made him feel good. He asks if mom loved his dad. I responded that sure on some level she does and why is he asking? He replies that they are always looking at each other, talking and touching. And he is over all the time. I asked what he meant by all the time. Almost every day when they get home from school he is there then leaves. That weekend I'm in the living room and he is over for visitation. He comes in and sits down across from me with a beer. I look up from my reading and tell him to help himself to a beer. He says nothing. I ask why he isn't with the kids. I could hear laughing coming from the family room. He said he might go with them in a little bit. I tell him I will not drink in front of the kids. I wait until after they are in bed. He says nothing. He then states and says, you know I am only here for her. What does that mean? You're talking about my wife. He says technically we are not divorced. I never signed the divorce papers, so she is his wife. I know a judge signed off on the divorce because he could not be found. That's why it took longer for them to divorce. I finally asked about the child support, since I never heard back. He just looked at me and said that he was caught up, and paid her $15,000 in cash. WTF. I then asked if she talked to him about giving up his rights, and he said that she never asked. He asked what it would be worth to me. I said you got to be kidding, you would sell your kids. Before he could answer I told him to leave. The next day, this past Sunday the kids were at Grandma and Grandpa's with my wife. I bought and installed a camera. I put it on top of the TV and it is very small. It has a view of the front door and living room. Motion activated. I saw nothing unusual until Wednesday at about 10 a.m. I get an alert on my phone when the camera activates. I get a notification and figure it's the wife just cleaning up, but I look anyway. There he is. She lets him in. They kiss for a long time. He then starts grabbing at her and she playfully pushes away. They are laughing. No sound. He sits on the couch and she brings him a beer and some snacks. 10 a.m. She disappears. She is back a few minutes later, clothes changed. She is going to school for lunch. They are talking. More grabbing, more pushing away, more laughing. A few minutes later she is up getting ready to leave. He gets up and grabs her again, making some gestures. He then poses like he is praying, hands together. They sit down again, then she gives him HD. She finishes up, goes out of range, comes back, says something, then leaves. He then watches TV, then he takes a nap. Screen eventually goes blank. A little after 1 p.m. another alert. She is home. They talk. They both leave room. I know they are headed to the bedroom. I raced home and found them. They never heard me coming. There are the hysterics you would expect. He slithers out. I tell her she has to go. She pleads it was a one-time mistake, he had just got there. She was lonely because we weren't having sex, etc. I called BS. I asked how often he came over, just on the weekends. This was an anomaly. I showed her the video of him napping. She said he was tired and asked to stay. I then showed her the recording of the BJ. She had nothing to say. I told her to pack her bags and get out. I left and called her dad to ask him if they could take them, and because we were having issues. He of course takes the alpha position, telling me how I would screw this up, yada yada. I couldn't get a word in. Finally I stopped him, asked again, and he said yes, then started on me again. I had enough. I said I would send him something. I sent the video edited down to the BJ. I told him to view and call me back if I was wrong. Never heard back. Talked to lawyer Thursday. He helped with the estate plan after first wife. Referred to me as a partner who does family law. Will meet Tuesday. Divorce will happen. He felt but did not know for sure that I would be on the hook for support for kids. No alimony since she broke our prenup. I made it up before marriage in addition to estate plan to protect my girls. I don't care about the support, glad to do it. It's the boys. So my question or advice needed: has anyone else been through divorce and was able to see their ex's kids even if they are no yours? How did that go? The 14-year-old is partially vulnerable as he will be in HS next year, formative years. I don't want to see him go down the tube and turn out like dad. Thanks to all in advance. Update. Sorry, this update might be jumbled. I originally updated in the wrong sub. This is the umpteenth time I have written this out. Each time it's shorter. I am not sure how to cross-post, so I am retyping. Bear with me. Last week was a busy week with my daughter graduating, moving her home, kids' sports starting, lawyer, and the first face-to-face with my wife. Got home Sunday, put my daughter's stuff from her apartment in the garage. I then got a call early in the evening from the 14-year-old. Dad, what's going on? No one is talking to us. Mom and Grandma are crying and Grandpa's yelling. Is this because of what I told you? I assured him that his mom made a bad mistake, that he had nothing to do with this mess. He asked if I was packing up their stuff because he saw the U-Haul in the driveway. I explained what happened and that all their stuff remained there. Monday and Wednesdays were sports nights. Family sits in the bleachers while I stand behind home plate backstop. My usual spot since I don't see eye to eye with my father-in-law. On the way across the field, the oldest stops his warm-up and runs over to me. We hug and talk for a few minutes, then I send him back. As I get my spot, I have the 10-year-old crash into me at full speed. I bend down, hug and kiss him all over as he is squirming away. My father-in-law asks if we could talk. We step away from earshot. He apologizes for the way he has treated me in the past and that he was wrong. Well, a little late, but I accepted and said I knew that it was a hard thing for him to do. He invited me to sit with them, but I declined. He asked if I wanted to talk to my wife. I said Thursday would be better, so we set a time and place. Tuesday comes and I meet with a lawyer. I told him the whole story. He knew from his partner but wanted to hear from me. He asked what I wanted to do. I wanted to stay with the boys, then stay married. The boys were most important. He stated in his experience that the marriage would be a charade and not good for the boys. We could work out a visitation if the wife is willing. As far as support, he said I could do what I wanted for the boys, not to give her anything for me to control. The prenup was solid. She violated conditions, no support. He cautioned, though, that judges around the country have in some instances ordered child support in my case due to being in their lives so long. He did not think our judges have ruled that way in the past, but you never know. He was sure her attorney would seek support. He suggested that we try to agree on everything we could before court, then the judge would look favorably on us. Before leaving, he told me that every Monday morning the partners meet to discuss new and ongoing cases. My previous attorney started out describing everything. Each partner has a specialty: estate planning, elder law, criminal, liability, family. Later in the afternoon, the criminal lawyer meets up with my attorney. After the meeting, he called a contact in the prosecutor's office. The $15,000 did not seem right. How do folks in the middle class have $15,000 in cash laying around? Turns out X did not abandon them. He was in jail. He was released 3 years ago, when feds were releasing nonviolent criminals to ease overcrowding, etc. He was sure the police would be interested if he was back and practicing his profession again, but he did not have any other info but the jail time. Thursday I met with the wife and father-in-law. I asked if they minded if I recorded so there would be no misinterpretation later. They agreed. Before we started, my wife wanted to talk privately. Father-in-law moved to another room. Wife started to apologize. I cut her off. I said, before you say anything, just know that I know a lot more than you think. I asked how many times she had sex with her ex. She said the 1 time. I told her the video shows that is not true. I played a clip of her dusting the TV. She never saw the camera. I know it was only a few days, but she was going to lie, so I was too. She thought it was part of the video game. It's not big, but it is obvious on top of TV. She admitted that it had been going on since March almost right away. I told her no more lies. I told her of the family secret, that he was in jail not running away. She admitted to this also. I asked how long they have been in contact. She said since Feb. I asked if she met up anytime before him appearing and she said no. I then told her he had been out for 3 years. The look on her face told me she did not know. We got my father-in-law back in. Turn on the recorder. I asked if she had a lawyer. No. Told her to get one because a divorce will happen. They both asked if something along reconciliation could take place. I said no. I said I wanted the boys. She could live with ex. I told her when speaking privately that her ex tried to sell me the boys. I repeated it for my father-in-law. We settled on the boys could see me anytime within reason. She would not keep me from them. I said I would provide a schedule of my choosing. She would get no support. I did not want her getting the boys to ask me for things. They would be honest if I asked. There you have it. One last thing, the wife and I are avid readers of this site. We have our favorite subs. We would read and share. It was a thing we did together. She has read my post as she figured it out, and she read every reply you made. She stated you savaged her. You said many things I only wish I could have because I did feel it. For that I thank you.